Today we are going to do the analysis of the story A Cup of Tea by Katherine Mansfield. This is a story about two women, one of them belonging to the upper class, the other one belonging to the lower class. Uh, it has a very simple plot. Ms. Smith, who is representative of the lower class, she requests Rosemary Fell to give her some money so that she could get a cup of tea because she was feeling cold. However, Rosemary Fell makes it a completely, you know, unique experience because instead of just giving Miss Smith some money, she takes her to her home in order to, uh, you know, uh, give her some food as well along with the tea. Now, why she does that, we are going to find it during the analysis of the story. However, coming to the writer of the story, it's Katherine Mansfield. Katherine Mansfield, her period is 1888 to 1923, which makes it almost 35 years. She lived only for 35 years because she had tuberculosis and she died of that. Catherine Mansfield is basically a writer from New Zealand. New Zealand is a place near Australia, it's a country near Australia. Catherine Mansfield spent uh, much of her life in London, and much of the stories are based much of the stories by Catherine Mansfield are based on the life in London. This is also in this story, London has been made the setting as well. So we come to know that. Uh, about Catherine Mansfield, that she is a modernist writer. Modernist writers are those writers who started writing from the start of the 20th century and continued till the end of World War II. World War II, and this is the time when the basic focus was on realism. Catherine Mansfield, she also bases her stories on realism, and this makes her writings very complex because when you talk of realism, you talk about real people, real settings, real problems, real, issues that a normal person confronts. So her story is about uh, the real people here and the real life they are leading, and observing and analyzing and criticizing uh, real people is not an easy thing because you need to do that in a very subtle way. In this story, she's not making any judgments. However, she leaves it on the reader to decide what his or her opinions are. So, as we've already discussed, that this cup of tea is basically that cup of tea that Miss Smith requests Rosemary Fell to, she asks some pennies for a cup of tea. We come to know that the plot is linear. It starts from a London, a typical London day that a rich woman spends spends here, and it ends almost within a span of 2 to 3 hours. The span is not more than that. This story was published in 1922, and which is the modernist era. We come to know about the. We have discussed it a bit earlier as well. However, we come to know that she uses a lot of adjectives, and to show what sort of people live here, what sort of life they are leading. She makes a lot of use of adjectives in order to describe the things, the people, and the things she describes, or the setting she describes, and the people she describes, they are basically that has been done in order to show uh, what these Londoners did. We have already done the plot of the story, so I'm not going to go into much detail. The subgenre of the story is modernist. It's a modernist short story having the elements of realism in that. The setting is London, early 1920s, and how, despite the despite the First World War, we come to know that the artificiality, that is the custom for these Londoners, it persists. And we can take the example of this from The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot, who describes, and the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. It's also a poem by T.S. Eliot. We come to know about the petty lives these Londoners live in order to pass their time. There's a very clear class difference in London. Either you are rich or you are not. So that is why you have that in Marxism, you have that distinction between the haves and the have nots. There is no third category. So Rosemary Fell belongs to the those who have, whereas Miss Smith belongs to the category of have nots. Coming to the characters, we come across three characters. One of them is Rosemary Fell. Then we have Phillips Fell, and we have Miss Smith. Rosemary Fell, I find this name very important because Fell is fell. If you take it as a verb, it's any fall. However, ever with regards to this story, we come to know it's falling from the status of human beings. So this Rosemary Fell, she is a rich married woman, and we come to know about her in the start of the story, where she is described as young, brilliant, extremely modern, exquisitely well dressed, amazingly well read in the newest of the new books, and her parties were the most delicious mixture of the really important people and artists, quaint creatures, discoveries of hers, some of them too terrifying for words, but others quite presentable and amusing. So we come to know in the first few lines that she is a typical rich woman for whom her image carries a lot of importance. She meets only the important people. She though she is well read, but her reading is not has not taught her anything. Her reading has only it's there to brag about, to boast about that. And she has married a man named Philip Swell, who is not any, again, this shows the class difference, who's not any Michael or Peter. Rather, her husband is Philip Swell. So both of them, they are representative of the upper class. And a very interesting line in we find a very interesting line in the second paragraph. They were rich, really rich, not just comfortably well off, which is odious and stuffy and sounds like one's grandparents. She is so they are so rich that their wealth does not seem to be that of that could expire at any time. Their wealth is going to sustain them throughout. And a very important thing is that when Rosemary Fell goes out to buy some trinkets, we find that she gets those. She finds a small box which seems to be, a small metal box which is lined with velvet in the inside. However, she adores that box, and when she asks for the price, it's 28 guineas, 28 guineas, which in today's, according to today's calculation, which is a lot of money. And she's ready to get that 28 guineas box. However, she does not want to spend a small penny on the cup of tea that Miss Smith requests her. So we also come to know that she's very authoritative, and she spends most of her morning going from doing window shopping or shopping, just in order to prove that she has a great lifestyle. And if we uh, analyze her character, we also question that why does she um, take Miss Smith home when she could easily give her a penny, and she could have bought tea. She takes her home in order to impress her. So this shows that her lifestyle uh, is all totally uh, you know there she is the lifestyle, her lifestyle is totally based on show off and ostentation. Coming to if Miss Smith wanted a cup of tea, she was so weak because of the cold that she could not continue. um, if Miss Fell had really wanted to help her, she could have bought her a tea at that very moment. Why she does not even realize? Rather, she does not have that sensitivity to realize what sort of life these poor people live. And at present, instead of looking at the luxuries that Miss Fell has, Miss Smith only Miss Smith, her name is also important. She is, like any other person. Her focus was to get a cup of tea. So the this makes the class difference all the more important, because um, these people, the elite class or the bourgeoisie, they are insensitive to the problems of the upper class, of the lower class, sorry, or the proletariats or the have nots. And it is because of this lifestyle that that sensitivity to the issues is not there. Then we come to know that she's a well dressed person, and obviously well dressed because she's well off. She can afford all these luxuries, and the uh, uh, But the irony is that despite having all the luxuries, despite being well dressed, she does not have the confidence that she is beautiful. And she keeps on, we come to know that at the end of the story, she asks her husband if he is really beautiful. She is possessive. She is possessive of her wealth. She is possessive of her luxuries. The way she moves on, she seems to be a person for whom things are important, and for her, these things are the symbols of luxury and riches, wealth. Uh, but despite having all these things, despite being well read, despite being rich, despite having all the resources, we find that she is jealous, and jealous of a very normal character, a street girl, and which makes her insecure as well. She is only one comment from her husband makes her insecure of her status in the society. And then she, at the end of the story, she asks Philip, that is her addressing her husband, am I pretty? These three words, am I pretty, show her lack of confidence. She's adventurous. She is How we come to know about her adventures is because she has wealth. She can go anywhere, she can purchase anything she wants. However, her interest in the Russian writer Dostoevsky, who's a novelist who wrote poems, he is a multi talented writer who used to talk about societal alienation, how society alienates. Despite living in a society, you are not you do not feel a part of the society. So the loneliness, he talks about the loneliness, then redemption, the suffering of the poor people, mentally ill, segregated people, sexually abused prostitutes. And then he talks about morality, suicide, how people manipulate, uh, how one class manipulates another class in order to get their interests. So Rosemary Fell is you know though she has everything, but that one complex inferior, she's suffering from inferiority complex. And in order to overcome that, she tries to acquire things. But the more she acquires, the more greed she has, the more insecurity she has. Coming to the next character, Philip Spell. Philip Spell is the husband of Rosemary Fell. He is one of the richest, belongs to one of the richest families of London, and that is enough to tell his character. He is a snob again, like Rosemary Fell. He loves his wife and cares for her. However, he is highly manipulative. He knows how to get his uh, work done. He knows how to manipulate Rosemary into getting his interest. He has a strong dislike for poor people, and we come to know uh, about that when he just has a glimpse of Miss Smith, and then uh, you know he doesn't like that. He doesn't want to be a part of the whole thing. He doesn't want to be he doesn't approve of Miss Smith coming to the house of the Fells. Okay. Then we come to Miss Smith, who's a lean, thin girl. Uh, she's a typical, she's representative of the lower class. She is malnutritioned, she is malnourished, and she doesn't have the resources to, uh, you know, but that she resources to uh, lead a healthy life. She is, because of the lack of resources, she is frightened as well. She's shy. She lacks confidence, and yeah, but the only positive quality we find in her is that she's attractive and pretty. She is, people are attracted, even Rosemary Fell, she finds her pretty. So this is about the characterization in A Cup of Tea. Coming to the to the next point, that is the narrative perspective. The narrative perspective used in the story is third person omniscient, which makes the story all the more effective, and it leaves the readers with some questions which which are inherent, which tell us about the issues that are inherent in our societies. Being a segregated society, we totally tend to um, forget that the other class is humane as well, or human as well. uh, at some stages of the story, we find stream of consciousness technique as well, where Ms. Rosemary Fell is talking to herself. She is giving her perspective of things, and this makes it all the more important, because the story is basically about her feelings, about her actions, about her life. The themes that we come across in the story basically are the difference. The first one is the difference between appearance and reality. We come to know that Rosemary Fell, she has got all the wealth, all the resources. However, the only thing she's lacking in is beauty, and that makes the story sorry makes Rosemary Fell uh, a victim of inferiority complex. So, uh, whereas Ms. Smith, she has got no wealth, she has got no resources, still she has, beauty, and that is something that Ms. Rose Mary Fell cannot snatch from her, cannot take away from her, and which. Maybe it is one of the things that she desires the most, she yearns the most. And we also find the difference between appearance and reality in Rosemary, in the name Phil, that they do not fall. The fall of the fells is not literal, it is metaphorical. They are petty despite having all the things. They are petty. They are not ready to share their you know share anything without any without showing that off. Here, Rosemary Fell did not show her off to the friends. At that time, she wanted to tell this story later. However, she because she is so uh, you know uh, so obsessed by the by every action she does, by the appearances, she totally she shows off in front of Miss Smith. Then we come to know about materialism, we come to know about the importance of things, importance of commodities in the life of Rosemary Fell. How for her these things are important, these things are all symbols of the things that she acquires with her wealth. They are symbolic of all the of her wealth. So materialism is a very important theme in her, in the story. Then we come to know about the jealousy and insecurity. This story has a psychological psychological background as well. We come to know that not having something makes her Miss Rosemary fell a victim of inferiority complex, and which leads to jealousy and insecurity. Whereas on the other hand, Miss Smith, she just requests her to give Miss Fell to give her money, and she is not she asks, she doesn't snatch anything from her. She could have committed some guilt, she could have stolen it from anyone. However, she prefers asking for money than to than to be a criminal. Then we have class distinction. It's a clear theme in the story, how the rich people, even if they tend to do good deeds, they want to show it off, and how they have everything and the poor people do not have those things. And still both these classes are insecure of one another. They know that they cannot trust each other. Then we find the effects of colonization, the difference between the colonizer and the colonized. The colonizer, despite being a minority, the colonizer continues to colonize. The colonizer continues to, you know, keep his rules in the world. Then, coming to the symbols of the story, we have a cup of tea, which is a symbol of poverty, and poverty for Miss Smith, and for Ms. Fell, it is a symbol of pride, because she wants to show off her genuine goodness in front of her friends, whereas we do not find any such uh, you know reality in her, um, you know, in her goodness. I think I'm going to talk about the symbols in the next video, because it's the recording is coming to an end. Please check the other video for the rest of the components that are left. Okay, coming to the symbolism in the story A Cup of Tea, we come to know that A Cup of Tea itself, the title is significant, because on one hand, it is telling us about the class consciousness of Miss Bell, and how do we come to know that for her this cup of tea is basically a symbol of pride. When you are hungry, for you the best of the best blessings, or for example here, you want a cup of tea, you are in need of a cup of tea. Even if that tea is presented to you in the best, or the most richest of cups, you would never look at that, you would never consider that. Whereas here, this Ms. Mary Fell, she wants the cup of tea to be noticed. She wants it to be, wants Miss Smith to notice what her wealth is like, how much wealth she has. However, a cup of tea, as we discussed in the title as well, that a cup of tea is important for Ms. Smith, because it is her her means of sustenance, and for her it shows her poverty as well. However, through this cup of tea, we come to know about the fake philanthropy that is inherent in the upper class. Whatever they do, they want it to show that off. And here we come to know that Ms. Fell wants to show off her generosity as well. Then there is a box of a trinket box, which is mentioned on page one of the story, which is a creamy box, and which is described as a creamy sort of a box, a very, which has been carved with a lot of, technique and tact. And it has a blue velvet inside. It shows the love for material gains that the upper class have. The more they have, the more uh, desire they have to uh, get. Then it shows their affordability as well. For them, this much money, 28 guineas in today's time, is around 10,000 rupees pkr. So it shows that they could afford to throw this much money on just trinkets, in on little tits and bits. Then we have Rosemary's hat. Rosemary's hat is basically symbolic of her lack of sympathy and her prejudice, how she literally hates the lower class, and only to create an image of you know philanthropy. She just takes Miss Smith home. Then we have Regent Street and Curzon Street. These streets are mentioned in the story. These stories are symbolic of the rich class, elite class, where only the elite can uh, afford to live or to go. Then we have rain. Basically is symbolic of the abundance, the abundance of things, the abundance of blessings that God bestows on man. However, it is the rich class who take this wealth, and the poor class, they are deprived of this, of the basic necessities of life as well. Then we have Rosemary. Rosemary is name of an herb भी कहते हैं, herb. It's a herb basically which is evergreen. It has a pungent and bitter smell. Here we come to know about the bitterness of Miss Rosemary, of the bitter character of Miss Rosemary. Then we have an antique shop. Antique shop is shows the after effects of World War I, how people were compelled to sell out their luxuries in order to make us as in order to survive. Whereas these fells are so well off that they survived the World War I. They did not, for them, World War was no more than an ordinary event, because they still have wealth after World War I. Coming to the three types of irony, dramatic irony, we come to know that Ms. Rosemary, she does not notice the beauty of Ms. Smith unless her husband tells her that she's pretty. Miss Smith is pretty. So for her, the only thing important is the deprivation that the poor class has. uh, she only focuses on the uh, on the things that do not that the poor class does not have. The end is also ironic. Despite having all the things, the story ends in a very in a sort of a tragic. The story ends in tragedy, because she asks her person, she does not have the confidence that she is pretty. She thinks she's insecure because of her average looks. The title is ironic because a cup of tea is a cup of tea, though it starts with an indefinite article, yet it reveals a lot of, reveals the personalities of the uh, characters involved. Then we have situational irony, where Rosemary fell is rich yet ugly, but Miss Smith is poor but pretty. This is very important. Then stream of consciousness technique, we come to know about the feelings, about the thoughts. We move in the thoughts of Ms. Rosemary Fell, and this technique is very important because it tells us, it gives us an insight into the psyche of Ms. Rosemary Fell. um, uh, a brief introduction of stream of consciousness. This technique was basically um, devised by Virginia Woolf, and almost all her stories are written, or all of her fiction is written using this technique. This technique basically uses of the description of mechanism of the brain. Premise of the story is that the difference of class affects human relationships. Our relationships are determined by our classes. Even if we belong to the same class, our relationships are determined according to that. Coming to the some of the literary devices that have been employed, we find that there is an external allusion to Dostoevsky, the Russian writer. Then we have hyperbole in order to show the extravagant wealth that Ms. Rosemary Felt possesses. We have the use of personification when her heart beats like a heavy bell, cold, bitter taste in the air. It seems that these things have been personified. The lights of the houses looked sad and were regretting something. So all these things, these are personified for because all these things are important to reveal the characters of the story, the traits of the characters of the story. Then we have metaphors for the young girl, little battered creature, and this thing has been repeated twice or thrice in the story. Then we have poor little thing, thin figure, new being, a light, frail creature with tangled hair and listless figure. These are all the metaphors that have been used for Miss Smith. Then we have similes, use of similes as well. Voice like a sigh and almost like a sob. So that shows that the sob, the crying of that girl is suppressed because she cannot completely express her her troubles to this rich woman. Then bird like shoulders, look at the words that have been used for this girl. Everything, bird like shoulders. These birds can be a victim, or can be a prey to the dogs, or to the hunter animals at any time. And we come to know that she is also a victim, a prey to the society, a society which is highly segregated, totally divided into classes, which the First World War could not even end the segregation. She seemed to struggle like a child. Again, that shows her weakness, her dependence on other people for support. So, yes, this is it, the end of the story. A cup of tea, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, Allah Hafiz.